So in this video we are going to add social login into our Laravel application, and in this video I will just add Google social login. But if you follow this video and if you successfully add the Google social login, then you can easily add Facebook, Twitter or GitHub or any other social login into your Laravel application, because all of these are same. So as you can see, this is the Laravel application. In this Laravel application I just added the Breeze authentication, that is a very popular authentication scaffolding. So if I register a user, I can then access to the dashboard. So this is a very basic authentication system. But in the login system, what I have done, I have added this link, this button, continue with Google, and it is not working. It is just a button. So the package that we are going to use is the Laravel Socialite. So first of all, let's install this package into our application, and with the help of this package you can almost add every essential social login into your application. So let's go to the installation, and you can install this package with the help of this composer command. Let's go to the project, open a new terminal, and let's run this command. So this command will install this package or include this package into your Laravel application, and you will find a very good documentation in this Laravel website of this package. So after installing this package into your Laravel application, if you go to the documentation of this Laravel Socialite package, and if you scroll down, so here you can see, after installing this package you just need to add these lines of code into your services.php file. So let's copy these lines of code and let's go to the services.php file. So you can find your services.php file in your config folder of your project, and in this config folder you can see here there is a services.php file. In this file you can add all of your third-party packages or services credentials. So we will just paste these lines of code, the lines of code that we have copied, and if you notice here that we have GitHub credentials here. So you just need to remove this GitHub and add Google, and also remove GitHub from everywhere and add Google, because we are adding Google social login, we are not adding the GitHub login. So in this array, as you can see, the client ID and the secret ID that we are going to generate in a few minutes, and also the redirect link that we will also create in our route file. So we are getting this client ID and secret ID from the env file. So if I go to my env file, so this is my env, and in this env file I don't have this these two variables, Google client ID and client secret. So we need to add these two variables. So let's add this client ID variable first, and then the Google client secret ID variable. Now we have added the package into our application, installed the package into our application, and also added the credentials in our services.php file. Now we have to create or generate the client ID and secret ID. So you just need to go to the console.cloud.google.com, and from this side you can generate your client ID and secret ID. So if you haven't created your account or associate your account with this Google Cloud, then you need to associate or create your account first, and after that you will see your dashboard. I am seeing my welcome screen, and also I have some projects in this Google Cloud. So first of all, what you need to do, so you need to click this drop down. So when you click this drop down, you will see this pop-up. So here you can see there are some projects that I have created for my application. So to create your project, you just need to click this new project button, and after this you just need to name your project. So let's say Google Social Auth, and then if you have an organization, so you can add your organization, but we are not going to add any organization. So let's hit create. So here you can see creating project Google Social Auth. Now the project has been created, and if I again click this drop down, so I can see this Google Social Auth, and if I go to this project, this is a welcome screen. So if you select this navigation menu and go to your dashboard, so in this dashboard you have multiple features and options here, but you just need to go to your APIs page. So here you can see this is a card here that says APIs. So you can go to your APIs page by clicking this card, and from this page you can create your client ID and secret ID. But first you need to configure your OAuth consent screen. Whenever you create a new project in this Google Cloud, you need to configure your consent screen. So if you go to this credentials page, so as you can see in this credentials page, I have a message here that remember to configure OAuth consent screen. So you can go to your consent screen by clicking this button, or you can just go to this OAuth consent screen from the left sidebar. So first of all, here you can see it is asking us to select the user type. So you need to select the external because you don't have any organization. But if you have any organization and if you have verified your organization in this Google Cloud, then you need to select this internal. Then click create, and after this this is the form in which you have to add your application information. So first of all, you need to add the application name. Like if you are creating your blog, you can just say blog here, but we are just going to create a simple app, so let's say social app, and then select your email, and you can also add your logo from here. So I'm not adding my logo in this form. You can add your logo. Now after that, in the application home page, you need to add your application home page link, your dashboard link. So I will just copy this localhost link because I'm creating my application on localhost. But if you have a live domain, then you need to add the live domain link. So after your domain, you need to add the dashboard page link. So my dashboard page link is dashboard, and after this, in the privacy policy link, you just need to add any privacy policy link if you have, or if you don't have, then you just need to add the index link, your domain link. Then in the terms and services, you need to add the domain, and in this authorized domain, you just need to click this add domain button. And as I said, if your application is on a live server, then you need to add your live domain link here. But we are just creating our application on our localhost, so we just have to add localhost.com, and then in the email address, again I have to add the email address, and then click save and continue. And here you can see our OAuth consent screen has been configured. So after you configured your OAuth consent screen, you can just go to the credentials page, and from here you can create your credentials. So you can create your credentials with a really quick and easy way from this page. So click this create credentials button, and after this you will see three options here, 3 or 4 options here. First one is the API key, then the OAuth client ID, and then service account, and the fourth one is for any help you want. So we need to click this OAuth client ID, that is the second option. And after this, as you can see, we need to select the application type that we are creating. So select this drop down and you will see multiple application type. So we are creating a web application, so select this web application, and after this you need to give the name of your application, so let's say social app. And after this, in the authorized JavaScript origin, you need to add your application domain link, that is our localhost link. So if your application is on a live server, then you need to add your domain link here. And after this, in the authorized redirect URL, you need to add your callback URL. So we haven't created any callback URL in our application, but we will create. So let's first of all add the localhost domain, that is our domain, and after this you just need to add your callback URL. So we will create our callback URL like auth, then / then Google, and then callback. So the URL that I have added in here, I will create the same URL in my application and also add the same URL in the services.php file. Let's create this OAuth client ID form. And now you can see we have our client ID and secret ID in this form. So if you click OK, and as you can see in this OAuth client ID section, we also have our app. So if I go to this app, here you can see this is our application details. You can also edit it from here in the future if you want, and you can get your client ID and secret ID from here. So let's go to the code editor, and as I said, in the services.php, as you can see, this is the redirect URL. So let's remove this URL and let's add this URL that we have added in our authorized redirect URL. So you need to add the same URL in here. Save this. Now go to your env file and let's copy your client ID, and let's add in the client ID variable, and then also copy your secret ID and add your secret ID in your secret ID variable, then save your env file. Now with the help of env file, we can easily get this client ID and secret ID in our services.php file, and also we have added our redirect URL. So we have successfully created the credentials and also added the credential into our database. Now we need to do some coding into our application. So first of all, you need to go to your migrations, and in the migration you need to open your users migration. And as you can see in this users table, I have name column, email verified column, password column, remembered token column, and timestamps. So we need to add another column here. So this will be a string column, and in this column we will store the Google ID. So let's call it Google ID, and it should be nullable. And after this, you also need to make this password column equal to nullable, because if any user try to sign in with the help of Google, then he or she doesn't need to create any password. So we need to make this password column equals to nullable, and then we need to run our migration. So let's open your terminal and let's run php rsn migrate fresh, because we have updated our users migration. Now after migrating your migration, we also need to create our controller. So let's write php rsn make controller, and in this controller we will write the Google auth logic, authentication logic. So let's call it Google auth controller. Now let's open this Google auth controller that we have created. So in this controller we need to write two functions. The first function is the redirect function. So let's call this function redirect, and this function is responsible to redirect the user to the Google sign-in page. So you just need to write one line here. You just need to say return and then call the Socialite class, and this Socialite class is from the package that we have installed in our application, that is Laravel Socialite package. Then use a driver function with the help of this class, and in this driver function we have to pass driver name, and the driver name should be equals to the social login name. So we are adding Google social login, so we need to pass here Google, and if you are adding Facebook social login or GitHub or Twitter, then you need to pass Facebook, GitHub or Twitter, and then use a redirect function. So we have created this function, and after this we also need to create another function, and this function is responsible to handle the callback URL of Google authentication. So let's call it callback Google, and in this function we need to write the logic. So first of all, let's use the try catch block, and then we need to get the user's details, the Google user detail that is trying to sign in with the help of Google sign in page. So you can get the Google user detail with the help of this Socialite class, and then again call the driver function, and in the driver function you need to pass the Google, because we are adding Google social login, Then after this you can just call the user function. So with the help of this line you can get the Google users details in this Google user variable. Now after this we need to check that if this Google user already exists in our database or not. So let's say user, let's call the user model, and then let's use the where eloquent function. And in the where function we need to check that if Google ID, if the Google ID column is equals to the Google user ID, and we can get the Google user ID with the help of the get ID function. So what we are doing here, we are just checking that if any user in our database has the Google ID that is equals to this Google user ID, so get this user into this user variable. Then after this we need to add the if statement, and in this if statement we need to check if this user doesn't exist in our database, then we need to create this Google user. So let's call the user model. First of all, let's create a variable, let's say new user, and then let's call the user model, and then let's call the create function. And in this create function, first of all let's pass the name column, and we can get the name of the Google user with the help of this Google user variable, and we can get the name with the help of a function that is get name function. And then after this we need to store the email of the user, and we can also get the email of the Google user with the help of this variable, and the function we need to use is the get email. And then after this we do not need any password because the user is trying to sign in with the help of Google, so we need to associate the user to the Google. So to associate the user to the Google, we need to store the Google ID here. So let's store the Google ID, and we can get the Google ID with the help of this Google user variable and call the function get ID. So this Socialite package gives you everything. You can get the Google user details, you can get the name, get the email, and get the ID of the Google user. So after creating your user, you just need to use the auth class, because now we need to log in the user. So let's use the login function, and in the login function let's pass this new user variable. So after creating user, we need to log into the user, and then we need to redirect this user to the dashboard. So let's call the redirect function, and then let's call the intended function, and we need to redirect to the dashboard. Now we have checked that if the user doesn't exist in our database, then we need to create the user and logged in the user and return to the dashboard. Now what will happen if the user exists in our database? So we need to write here else statement. So if the user already exists in our database, so we just need to use auth class and then login function, and in here we need to pass this user variable, because in this user variable we have that user that is already exists in our database. So let's pass the user variable here, and again in this else statement also return to the dashboard. So we have write the logic in the try block, and in the catch block we just need to dump the error. So let's say something went wrong, and then after this let's get the error message. Now after this we need to create the route for these two functions. So let's open your web.php file, and in this we need to add two routes here. So first route is the get route, and in the URL let's say auth/Google, and let's use the Google Auth controller. And then you need to use the function redirect here. So let's use the redirect function, and let's also give name to this route, let's say Google-auth. And after this we need to generate another route for our callback URL. So this is also the get URL, but in the URL you need to pass the same URL that you have added in the console and in your services.php file. So let's copy this URL and So let's paste int in here and let's call the Google Auth controller, and then we need to use this second function, that is callback Google function. Let's save this. Now we have done with the coding part. Now in the login view we need to pass the route. So if I go to the application and login page, here you can see this is the continue with Google button. So in this continue with Google link we need to pass the route, and in here we need to pass the route that we have created, that is Google-auth. Now let's save this and let's go and refresh the application. Now if I click this continue with Google button, I should redirect to the Google sign in page. So let's click this, and here you can see I have successfully logged into the application with the help of Google. So why I haven't redirected to the Google Auth page? Because the browser just took my default Google ID. So if I open a new browser here, and if I go to this application, and now if I try to log in with the help of Google, I should redirect to the Google sign in screen, as you can see. So now we can select the Google ID, and also we can use another account. So let's select this ID, and now we should redirect to the dashboard, and here you can see. So we have implemented and added the Google social login into our application. And if I go to my database, localhost php myadmin, and the database that I'm using is the MyDB database. So if I go to my database and go to the users table, I should see two users here. So here you can see the first one is the Salman Abbas, that is logged in this browser, and the second user is the Varun, that is logged into this browser. And if I look into the Google ID, so as you can see the both users has different Google ID here. So we have successfully implemented the logged in functionality, the social logged in functionality with the help of Google. And if you want, I can also make another video in which I can show you the Facebook social login, GitHub social login, or Twitter social login. So I hope that this video will help you to integrate the social login into your application. And if you are facing any issue or any problem or any error, then let me know in the comment. I will try to reach out to you as soon as possible and try to solve your problem.